on? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Anyway, how's it going? So, I found some things that I would like to share. Um, and this will be my only video about Ipetgoat2 related subjects from now all the way until the end of February if said events don't transpire. Um, I was really curious about this clock tower, and I have been for years for those of you who've been watching me a while here, but I've been especially interested in it lately, and I was looking around looking for this clock tower, different places that it could be, and I was wondering if it's a generic clock tower or if it's a specific one. And I don't know, but let's take a look at it. It does sort of resemble one clock tower that I found. Right, so those of you who are not aware, this is a mega tsunami headed for a city, and this is like a mirror of the first 9/11 attack that's on the right hand side, which these are the twin towers, but they actually could be other sets of towers that I might show you. So basically, it's a mirror of the first one, and I kind of see it as like a Back to the Future type of thing. They're almost like a reciprocal event, right? So they're integrated with each other. So the first 9/11, which was the towers, and the second one, which will be the mega tsunamis, are interlinked through space time. Or there's other people who are better at that who talk about that, but you guys saw the tower, right? The clock tower right there. There is one place that kind of resembles it. So this is the King Street Station clock tower in Seattle. And I was even looking at these two buildings here. So actually, this is a Microsoft office. And I've been to Seattle. I haven't been to the station though. And you know what I'm gonna look up? I'm gonna look up if there's something related with this station and Psalm 23 as well, because who knows? Um, I've actually I lived in Portland, Oregon for a short time, and I've been to Seattle. But this clock tower does have a resemblance. However, there's every city has a clock tower of some kind. Um, there's other it's interesting. It's just something to take note of, I think. Here's another thing I'm going to show you guys. Let's jump ahead. So here, this is also a mirror of the first, right? It's all reciprocal foreshadowing, and they're interlinked, but through space-time with one another. So there's the East Coast tsunami, right? Alright, so here's the thing. I'm going to read you something about this upcoming Winter Olympics, which starts 4 days after Chinese New Year, which is the year of the tiger, the water tiger to be specific, right? Which starts February 1st. And the Winter Olympics in Beijing start on February 4th. And so you have the yin yang, which implies a Chinese symbol. I've already showed this to you guys, but there's the tiger, right? Now, skullduggery is grabbing the tiger. Keep in mind, there is a game called Skeleton in the Olympics. I'm not saying that this is related to this guy who's a skeleton, and I hope you guys saw the no nuclear sign on her face. and the heart, the many, many hearts of Ipetgoat2 that imply the love and lust of Valentine's Day. Possibly, okay? Possibly. You got this guy. So this sort of resembles a stadium that he's in. And it's empty, right? There's nobody here. And there will be a massive opening ceremony at the Beijing Olympics with something like 30,000 fireworks that are going to be on display. I did read into that. However, just like this empty stadium, the actual Olympics will also have a sort of an empty stadium, guys. Beijing bars spectators from Winter Games, as first Omicron case confirmed. It looks increasingly likely that China's Winter 2022 Olympics will take place in front of mostly crowdless stadiums, just like last summer's Tokyo Games. Chinese media reported over the weekend that China has halted ticket sales for the Beijing Games. Instead of selling tickets to the public, groups of chosen spectators, most likely Chinese Communist Party elites, will be allowed to attend certain events. Of course they will be. They're special. The decision comes after the Chinese capital reported the first confirmed case of Omicron variant over the weekend. Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, and I showed you guys this here. I was just looking into Seattle symbols. This bizarre looking stadium, right? Like, I gotta show it to you again. It's just so, it has the skeletal appearance to it, right? I mean, like, I'm looking like at the skeleton body, right? And it has the skeleton-like appearance to it as well. The stadium does. It's a very odd looking place. I've never seen anything like it. And I'm not saying there's a total resemblance, not by any means, but it's a very unique looking building. And it's going to be mostly empty, apparently, which is kind of ridiculous, but whatever. Spending all those millions of dollars for what exactly? All right. So there's a lot going on in terms of movement of there's 2 carrier strike groups that NATO has sent out going, I believe, to the Arctic Ocean or to Norway. There's carrier strike groups in the Mediterranean. There is troop movements in Sweden, in Finland, and Norway of NATO troops. There is lots more equipment being moved to the Ukrainian border. And I do wonder about this because it is a very expensive operation. Very expensive operation to do something like this, to house
just some more
hundreds or 100,000 troops and keep them fed, keep them clothed, keep them in shelters and hauling all this equipment around. It is really expensive. And I don't think this guy will mind if I share a couple of minutes of this
video of what is happening in Russia. You're going to see this is just more of the reserve soldiers being called up
they have
with their
reserves going
sweethearts,
there
with their
too.
wives and girlfriends. They're being shipped out, maybe never to return, folks. I do think that we are on the verge
So why are they calling up
of a major
reserves?
war. This is just more Russian tanks.
And that's like this is a
going
daily
down
thing. Tanks on
the
trains,
railroad
tanks
tracks in
on
different
trains.
parts of Russia, being shipped southward toward the Ukraine border and other areas. They have been moving a massive amount of equipment for over 2 months, folks. President Vladimir Putin is throwing everything in but the kitchen sink. I think they're going all in. And we have some very disturbing news coming in shortly. We're going to cover that in a few minutes. But I did want you to see the massive amount of equipment. Now, these are tanks up here on top of the railroad track. Of video coming in from Russia of the massive amount of vehicles and tanks and artillery. These look like howitzers and troop carriers right now on a major road. More Russian equipment being shipped all over Russia in different parts, getting ready for a war with NATO, folks. They're not doing this just to invade Ukraine. Listen, they're shipping so much equipment. This is not just for Ukraine. This equipment being positioned around Russia is to fight NATO, because Ukraine is really no threat to Russia. NATO and the United States is the biggest threat to Russia, not Ukraine. Ukraine is just the vehicle that the United States and NATO has been using to alienate Russia, to provoke them. And Russia has had enough. They had said, we have red lines and you have crossed them, and we're not taking it anymore. And
By Wednesday, they said. They said if they don't get a written agreement by this Wednesday, then blah, blah, blah. It's probably just more talk. I guess time will tell. My point of this whole video, guys, is if this is the year of this, then February 4th or 5th is when I see this starting. Around that time. And up until Valentine's Day, and all the way past Valentine's Day into next year, and it's gonna be a process, prolonged process, that's gonna continue. One more thing before I go. This ridiculous nonsense that I had to read, okay? False flag operation. Like, the mainstream media even using this term is just beyond me, guys. Listen, I don't trust either side, and I've told you that before. There's no reason to trust anybody here. But if you have the U.S. talking about the U.S. being the king of false flag operations, starting with the Gulf of Tonkin that kicked off the Vietnam War, which was the sinking of an aircraft carrier. They're talking about Russia, I mean, starting a false flag in Ukraine. And hey, they might. But if they're talking about it, then that kind of tells me that it's the U.S. that's going to do the false flag. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Okay, U.S. officials say the United States has information that Russia has pre-positioned a group of operatives to conduct the false flag operation to justify invading Ukraine. The revelation comes as the United States has urged Russia not to invade its neighbor. Anyway, there's no reason to read anymore. Blah, blah, blah. Alright, I guess that's gonna be all, guys. And let's just go ahead and say goodbye.